Hi, I'm Elizabeth Johnson, co-president of the Manhasset Chamber of Commerce, bringing you the latest update during this pandemic. Now, as we enter into May, a glimmer of hope rises with the numbers relating to the COVID pandemic declining. New York State is still on pause until May 15th, but guidelines are being put in place to open up the economy. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran called on all the chamber presidents on Monday, April 27th, to provide her with the concerns that merchants will have in the opening up of their business once the governor takes New York off of pause. The county executive is part of the governor's task force set up to figure out how best to reopen New York State. The reopening will be done in stages, starting with the least impacted areas of New York. Governor Cuomo outlined the following steps that must occur. CDC guidelines. Based on CDC recommendation, once a region experiences a 14-day decline in hospitalization rate, they may begin a phased reopening. Businesses in each region will reopen in phases. Each phase will be evaluated in a 2-week period. Based upon those results, we'll determine whether or not the next phase will open. Phase 1 will include the opening of construction and manufacturing functions with low risk. Phase 2 will reopen certain industries based on priority and risk level. Businesses considered more essential with inherent low risk of infection in the workplace and to the customers will be prioritized, followed by other businesses considered less essential or those that present a higher risk of infection spread. Regions must not open attractions or businesses that would draw a large number of visitors from outside the local area. Business precautions. Each business and industry must have a plan to protect employees and consumers, make the physical workspace safer, and implement processes that lower risk of infection in the business. We must build healthcare capacity. To maintain the phased reopening plan, each region must have at least 30% of hospital beds and ICU beds after elective surgery resume. The testing regimen. Regions must implement a testing regimen that prioritizes symptomatic persons and individuals who came into contact with known COVID-positive person and conducts frequent tests of frontline and essential workers. Regions must maintain an appropriate number of testing sites to accommodate its population and must fully advertise where and how people can get tested. The region must also use the collected data to track and trace the spread of the virus. Tracing systems. There must be at least 30 contact tracers for every 100,000 people. The region must also monitor the regional infection rate throughout the reopening plan. Isolation facilities. Regions must present plans to have rooms available for people who test positive for COVID-19 and who cannot self-isolate. A regional coordination must be in place for the reopening of schools, transportation systems, testing, and tracing with other surrounding regions. We must reimagine telemedicine and reimagine teleeducation. Regional control rooms. Each region must appoint an oversight institution as its control room to monitor regional indicators during the phased reopening, including hospital capacity, rate of infection, PPE burn rate, and businesses. Protect and respect essential workers. Regions must continue to ensure protections are in place for essential workers. Nassau County will not be released until the county meets 3 measured requirements by the CDC. 2 weeks of declining coronavirus-related hospitalization, a declining percentage of positive tests of the virus, and an increased testing capacity. Nassau County is still working on its increased testing capacity. Under CDC guidelines, the area has to have the ability to conduct both regular and antibody tests and have tests available for first responders and healthcare workers. Laura Curran said she is working with Northwell Health on testing and hopes to have that worked out soon. It is unknown at present whether Nassau County will go off pause on May 15th. I had the opportunity to speak with T.J. Costello of Hierarchy Architecture and Design about his business and how he's dealing with the pandemic. Let's take a look.
TJ, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me.
We are doing a special edition of From the Source, Pandemic Edition. And you've been in business for a long time, I guess close to almost a quarter century now.
24 years.
Yeah. And you've also published a best-selling book. Tell us, how are you doing during this pandemic, your business?
Well, being in the construction sector, as an architect, I serve a different end of it. Usually my work is front-loaded between the client designs and the village approvals and so on, and then we launch it out to get built. And so right now, that end of the supply chain, that end of the stream is what's holding things up. So I have a backlog of a few projects that we've been working through and pretty much driving them to as far as the bus will go. And unless I get some more new projects coming in, things will start to slow down. I have received 3 or 4 calls during this shutdown by people, generally speaking, who are a little bit more comfortable, whether they've been through ups and downs before in the economy before, and they have a little bit more positive outlook, or they might have done a little construction before, so they kind of know it has bumps and turns. And those are the type of people I'm getting calls from. I'll say new first-time homeowners or people who are a little unsure about the process to begin with, remain that way. And I don't expect to hear from them. But it's those other sort of seasoned clients who are calling that are keeping things moving right now.
Yeah. Now, I know that you're, as a small business, there has been a lot of focus on trying to help with the PPE and these other types of business loans. Have you tried for any of the small business money?
Yes, I have. I wish the president or others would have just stated it in the way I feel it, that I'm doing my patriotic duty to just stay the course, keep people employed. Because that's really what small businesses are in America. We're the backbone of America. And I literally feel as though I am on the front lines of trying to keep America moving. And I know that sounds grandiose coming from a little 5-person firm, but all of us together create the fabric of small businesses. And either someone's going to go on unemployment and Uncle Sam's going to pay them, or they're going to go on I'll call it a soft furlough, where they will be hired back, and the PPP actually acts as a loan to me, the employer, to in a sense filter the unemployment. So they're either unemployed by Uncle Sam or unemployed by me, I guess you could say, through the form of this loan. So I have applied for it because business is down, at least 50%. So that's I can't meet payroll without a cash flow coming in. So I've been forced to do that.
Have you heard anything back? Have you, other than,
Well, we applied on the first date of enrollment. The first date it was available to be enrolled in, we applied. And it sat for, with backlog and everybody rushing to do this, I suppose. I was just on the pile, and it was there for about 2 weeks. And I put a call into our banker and said, where are we at? Because I had heard that others were beginning to get payments already.
okay,
And so I was assured that it's in the queue, it's moving forward, and that's all I know. And I did receive an email that was rather a form email that went to my spam. So I didn't expect that because, the bank does have my email.
okay,
So it must have been through a different branch of the bank. It went to my spam and sat there for 2 days before I knew that they had responded back to me saying, yes, we have received it, and there's 4 stages, and we're at stage 3. I
okay,
guess stage 1 is applying, stage 2 is, I guess, processing, stage 3 is near completion, and stage 4 will be sending me the loan, which that part hasn't happened yet. So
yeah.
I might have mixed up the 4 phases, but that's essentially as I understand it.
So, and you started this process at the beginning of April, is that correct?
Yes. I'd have to look at my calendar, but I think it was April 3rd was the first date of enrollment.
Okay, and now we're coming towards May, and
Yeah.
and the second round of
Yeah.
funding. Well, let's hope that happens with the second round of funding.
Yeah. And I will also say that there's to anyone else listening, small businesses, there's 2 forms of loan, and you probably pretty much have to have your head under a rock to not know the different forms. But there's the EIDL, which coincidentally acronym spells idle. So if you're that was one form of a loan, and you could get what's known as an advanced idle, and that would be a non-require. What's the correct word? You did not have to pay back that as a loan. It would be an advance, and it's just a one-time. I'll call it a gift that you'd get. And so there's a one-time loan. In addition, you could apply for further loans, but the idle is primarily for the larger firms. We're talking 200, 500 employees and that sort of thing.
Okay.
The PPP is more for small firms, and it is exactly what it is. It's Paycheck Protection Plan. So it helps payroll to continue.
Right. So Governor Cuomo has rolled out the 12-step plan, and from what I understand, the construction industry will be in phase 1. I also understand, according to Nassau County Executive Laura Curran, 3 things have to be in place in order for phase 1 to go forward. Which are CDC requirements. And in your words and your thoughts, do you feel that you will be able to open up as of May 15th?
Yes, I think we could. Of course, we do everything following the guidelines and best practices of reopening. I'd still be responsible to my staff and to our customers, and we do a lot of field work where we're out in the field observing work to make sure it's proceeding according to the drawings and so on. So we're interacting with a lot of different folks all day long. So that would definitely have to be followed. So when we do open, I think we'll pretty much seamlessly just hop right back in our chair. Currently, we're doing everything remotely by Dropbox, which coincidentally and luckily about 10, 11 months ago, almost a year ago, we converted all of our central servers to the cloud. So we just lucked out, and we've been using that as our central server. For me as an architect, for example, I'd have typical foundation details and window details and materials and so on. So everything is in our library that we've cultivated and developed proprietary information, I guess you could say, with all of our custom details over the past 24 years. So our library is fairly robust, and we've been very happy with Dropbox in terms of seamless storage capacity and the ability to organize our files in a fairly easy to access way. So whether we're literally sitting two desks apart in the office on 7 Gaynor Avenue, Plandome, my plug, or whether we're doing it remotely from our home, it's going to definitely, I think, be a non-issue.
Okay, and if they want to get some more information related to your business, because you are, after all, modeling and design, where can they reach you?
I have, and I wish I could have done it with the better, more professional graphics. But I like all the storefront owners along Plandome Road. I taped a notice on our window saying you can reach us by our website, and in this case I gave my cell phone. So you can reach me by email or my cell phone. Not a problem. And I am, unfortunately and ridiculously, a 24/7, 365-day guy anyway. I don't know how to relax. I don't enjoy vacations. I worry about what I'm missing when I'm on vacation. I find them more stressful. So I just basically a workaholic, so it's not a problem to reach me at any hour.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for this edition, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. I really appreciate it. And good luck to everyone out there too.
I had the opportunity to speak with Senator Anna Kaplan of the 7th District, who represents our area. She's chairwoman of the Small Business and Commerce Committees. She provides an interesting perspective on the current situation.
Thank you so much, Senator Kaplan, for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good, Elizabeth. Thank you very much for asking. Hope you and all your loved ones are doing well too and staying safe.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. One of the things that in your first year here as senator representing us, I understand that you're the chairwoman of Commerce and Small Businesses. That is a monumental task currently. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
So yes, I chair Small Business Economic Development in New York State, and small businesses have always been a very special piece of me. I've always wanted to see how I could help the small businesses succeed in our district. Coming with my background as a councilwoman, I saw how our mainstreams were really struggling, and it's the small businesses that are the backbone of our state. We want to make sure that we do everything in our capacity to be able to help those small businesses succeed and thrive, and hopefully do much better, because we know when they do better, we as a state do better, our communities do better, because they also hire people within the community.
Right. Absolutely.
So I've been trying very much to advocate for small businesses for the last year and a half. But with this pandemic situation, it's been a lot more difficult for our small businesses. I would like everyone to know that I'm here. I know it's a difficult time for all of us, but I'm amazed at the resiliency of New Yorkers, at how we all come together, united, and really have been coming and making a big difference and in plateauing this curve and going down and steadily keep going down. We want to do whatever we can to help our small businesses. With that regard, it was doing in terms of helping the small businesses. We had a very difficult budget to pass, a budget that was already $10 to $15 billion deficit. But what we're getting in terms of help that we're getting from federal government and the small loans and the small business loans, and also the PPP, the EIDL programs. What I've done with my staff, we have had 2 webinars, town halls that we did, and I brought 2 experts from the United States Small Business, Robert Pihoda, and also from New York State Economic State Development, Rafael Salaberris, who were with us at both of those programs, answering questions that a lot of my constituents had. And for anyone who missed those, I invite them to go. They're on my Facebook. They're also on my website. There are a lot of questions that basically a lot of people had, and they can find answer to those if they were not able to join us those 2 days. We're continuously also working to do another one to come up with some more solution as to how we can help our small businesses.
Now, I understand that there was a bit of a difficulty with a lot of small businesses to receive the PPP. Was there, and everything had to go through a bank, I understood. Was there any kind of training related to this that was rolled out with this relief?
So I think Congress and Senate really wanted to get this out ASAP. So there was no training done, and basically was just sent out, and they recognized that a lot of people still were hurting, and they rolled out the second funding, which actually allowed $65 billion for small minority-owned businesses, MWBEs, minority and woman-owned businesses, to help out. And what we walked away from both of those seminars that we did is that people need to apply. They can apply to more than one entity, one bank. And once they hear from one, they should call up the other banks that they've applied through and cancel those.
I see.
The EIDLs were unfortunately had taken so many applicants. If people have a number, if a number was assigned to them, they are to get the funding then. If no number was assigned, no case number was assigned to them, unfortunately that window has closed. But we're waiting continuously to see what other ways the federal government is coming in to help us. I'm hoping that there will be a third stimulus that will be taking care of and helping the states and localities get some funding. And if that does happen, we will do another one and telling people what's available and how they can go ahead and apply for different programs or loans that could be very useful to them.
That's wonderful. One of the things I know that we're looking towards a possible reopening, and Governor Cuomo has come out with a phased-in plan. One of the questions I know that I was on recently, a conference call of the chamber presidents. And one of the issues that was raised is the PPE needed for whatever the business is, where we could get it at a fair price, at perhaps some sort of if there could be some sort of assistance related to that. Have you heard anything about this?
I know that the governor is continuously working on the plans for reopening. Obviously, we understand this is a very big step for all of us. A lot of our constituents and residents have made big sacrifice. That's why we've succeeded in making a difference. So we'll have to continue to do that. With regard to PPE, we certainly understand, and I know there are some efforts trying to secure some more PPEs. As soon as we have that information, I'm more than happy to share that with all of our residents. As you know, my staff and I are working around the clock. We put in a newsletter out every day.
Yes.
Giving really relevant, up-to-date information, dealing with local government, county government, state government, and federal government. Anything that's coming out that we think would be helpful to our constituents, making sure we get that word out to them. I also continuously work with different mayors. I hold different conferences with the mayors, superintendents, with supervisors and town clerks, giving them all the up-to-date information so that they could also disseminate that information to their members. We're all doing the same thing. It's just a matter of making sure that as many eyes and as many bodies can see that information and hopefully find that information helpful and guide them in which way they would like to go.
Contact tracing. A major component to the reopening of New York is tracing if a patient tests positive to COVID-19. A tracer would have to interview the individual and be able to identify and contact all the people the patient has been in contact with in the last 14 days. This is a monumental task, which will be undertaken by former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Apple and Google plan to release the first version of their contact tracing system by the middle of May. This will let health agencies build apps that allow a person who tests positive for COVID-19 to input their diagnosis. The system will then use Bluetooth technology to learn who the person has come into contact with and then notify those people of possible exposure. A second phase, to be rolled out in the coming months, will have deeper integration with Apple's iOS and Google's Android operating system to rely less on apps. Transportation. The governor has deemed it necessary for essential workers to be able to safely use mass transit and requires the subways and railroads to be disinfected daily. In order to do this, the system must shut down from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. starting May 4th. During this time, essential workers will be able to travel home if they are off duty by buses or alternative transports, which will be paid by the MTA. And hot off the press, schools remain closed for the remainder of the year. For more information related to education, please visit your local school website. As new information becomes available, North Shore Television will make it available to its viewerships. In the meantime, stay in place, social distance, wear a mask in public, wash your hands after any social contact, and stay safe.